We are definitely ahead of schedule, and the extra doses that came in this week have made a huge dent in wave 2. He's going to be speaking today. Thank you for all you're doing on behalf of the educators.
And what does my mind do? I'm like, wait, don't hide your arm behind that.
Well, thank you for making this.
Sam, I was telling the governor, all these came in from our pre-K classrooms all over the county last night.
To the right.
Yeah, you can like
Howard Stern all over the right side of my face.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Hoffman. I'm the very proud Executive Director of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. Welcome. Prior to introducing the Honorable Tom Wolf, our Governor, it's my privilege to also introduce a few invited guest speakers that are joining us this afternoon. Mr. Rich Askey from the Pennsylvania State Education Association. Rich is the president. Dr. Charles Lentz, who is the superintendent of the New Hope-Salisbury School District. Dr. Lentz is representing the team of Bucks County superintendents today, who are also in attendance in this room. And we also have State Senator Steve Sanacero. Also joining us in the audience with us this afternoon are several invited guests, including members of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors, Mr. John D'Angelo, our board's president, and Mr. Ron Jackson, our board's vice president. John is from the Bristol Borough School Board, and Ron is from the Quakertown Community School District. Also with us is Mary Jane LeCaire. Mary Jane is our Bucks County Intermediate Unit Education Association president. Mr. Jim Vaughn is with us. He's the executive director of the Pennsylvania State Education Association, as is Dr. Sherry Smith, the advisor to the Deputy Secretary for the Pennsylvania Department of Education. In addition, please allow me to introduce the amazing team of administrators from the Bucks County Intermediate Unit that are with us, and of course, the team of superintendents and career and technical school directors from Bucks County. We make an amazing team, and we've accomplished a lot during this pandemic. I'd also like to recognize a Head Start site assistant that works for the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. Her name is Amy Stribling. Amy graciously allowed the governor and the media to observe her being vaccinated a few minutes ago. Thank you, Amy, for sharing that very honorable, memorable experience in such a public way. The Bucks County Intermediate Unit is one of 29 educational service agencies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that's charged with providing regional, innovative, cost-effective services to the schools, the school districts, and the families of our respective regions. Our name, Intermediate Unit, describes what we do. In short, we serve as intermediaries for critical initiatives in our respective communities. And clearly, there is no more critical or more pressing issue right now facing the education community, facing all of us, than COVID-19. The collective response to COVID-19 from Bucks County's education community has been, in a word, amazing. When we went virtual in March, we pivoted. When we resumed face-to-face instruction in the fall, in both full-time and hybrid models, we excelled. And of course, we continue to offer creative virtual instruction options for those students who seek them. We did this in Bucks County by working together as a county, collaborating with one another, collaborating with our county's health department, collaborating with our county's emergency services agency, and of course, collaborating with our state agency partners. This is the essential work that assured that our schools were able to safely meet the social, emotional, athletic, artistic, and academic needs of our students, even at the pandemic site. In my role as the executive director of the Intermediate Unit, I've seen countless examples of Bucks County Intermediate Unit staff finding creative ways to meet the complex needs of learners. Those include providing essential specialized instruction, therapy, transportation, and support. I'm also proud of the Bucks IU's team and their ability to respond under some of the most difficult circumstances for the last year, and I thank them. Pre-COVID, these conference rooms were filled with energy. They buzzed with excitement. Educators and school employees from across Bucks County schools would converge here on a regular basis to collaborate and learn together. Today, they're beautifully decorated with artwork from the Bucks County Intermediate Unit's pre-K classrooms and special education classrooms from across our county. And we thank those students for bringing some life and energy back to these rooms. But for a week in February and for the last 8 days, these conference rooms have buzzed again, much like they're buzzing with all of you here. They've been alive with energy and excitement as thousands of Bucks County educators and contractors, will be approaching 9,000 this weekend, have passed through our vaccination clinic that we just toured, and they've received that additional essential layer of protection against COVID-19. Thank you, Governor Wolf, for authorizing the use of those set-aside vaccines for school employees and contractors. I believe in the short time that you've been here, you've heard the difference that they've made in the lives of the educators and students in Bucks County and for their families. So thank you, sir. For many of those vaccines represent hope for a return to normal in our schools. One Bucks County Intermediate Unit team member summarized it perfectly in an email to me this morning. She said, quote, "Being vaccinated will definitely ease some of the stress of working with children every day and allow staff to focus on the important task of serving families and children." I think that sums it up. On behalf of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit, family of employees and contractors, on behalf of the Bucks County IU Board of School Directors, the superintendents of Bucks County, the career and technical school directors, and the leaders of our non-public schools, it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium the Honorable Tom Wolf, Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thank you, sir. So those were nice words of thank you, but I was, on the way here, had a phone call from one of the folks who's one of my deputy chiefs of staff who works closely with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. And I think I speak for everybody in the Department of Education and the administration that they said Mark Hoffman, Dr. Hoffman has done a phenomenal job in terms of not just here, but all across the state. And I agree with you that the folks, and this is pre-K. I mean, there's some phenomenal artists in this intermediate unit.
It's Bucks County.
Bucks County. So I think they've done a tremendous job. So thank you. And again, this is really to say thank you to everybody in education. Rich and Jim and I had a conversation just a couple of weeks ago about this, and I want to give credit where credit is due. I think the idea for how to roll this out came from these guys, and now they're claiming that they plagiarized it from somewhere else, right? So, but it seems to be working, and I'm really proud of what you're doing here. This is important, obviously, for the folks, the parents, the teachers, the students here in Bucks County. But what's happening here and at 27 other places across Pennsylvania matters for all the rest of us. Pennsylvanians really need our kids to get back to class and back to school, and you're making that possible by moving so quickly, so efficiently to get this done. So thank you. I just want to say we are making great strides in our vaccine rollouts. The CDC data now has Pennsylvania actually near the top of the charts when it comes to a number of important statistics. For example, I track this every day because I think this is important as a Pennsylvanian. The U.S. average for first doses as of today, I think, it might be yesterday, was 23%. Pennsylvania is 24.1%. We're above the national average. We're now 21st in the country, in rankings. So we're above average in terms of that statistic. And today, for the first time, we're above average in second doses. The national average is 12% of the population has received a second dose. Pennsylvania is 12.3%. And we keep rising. For the last 7 days, Pennsylvania is number 2 in the country. We were number 2 for the first, I guess, a couple days ago to Maine. Now we're number 2 to New Mexico in terms of the rate of improvement of rate of increase in getting vaccines into the arms of Pennsylvanians. So we're really doing a good job, and part of it is that we're doing it in a fair and equitable manner. And this is an example of how we're trying to do that. That we have targeted teachers. Now, the federal government, President Biden, said that he wanted teachers to get some priority, and we had actually decided to do that the day before he announced that. So I called his staff and claimed credit that Is that wrong? That Pennsylvania should take credit for actually doing something that he said he wants to do. But we're doing it in a really important fashion, and I think we're doing it really well. We're making great progress, and here I think we're highlighting just another vaccine milestone regarding the impressive progress that Pennsylvania has made in our special initiative to vaccinate teachers and school staff. That's everybody: bus drivers, cafeteria workers, janitorial staff, administrative staff, and early childhood educators. In just over a week, we vaccinated nearly 100,000 teachers and school staff in Pennsylvania. That's in just a week. Vaccinations began at intermediate units throughout the Commonwealth between March 10th and March 13th. And by the end of the week, we expect that all 94,600 doses of our initial, that was our first week's dose of Johnson & Johnson, or Janssen, I'm not sure what we're supposed to call that these days, Johnson & Johnson allocation is going to be administered. This is really an amazing progress. The idea was that we would use this Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it's a one-dose vaccine, and it means that we don't have to wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get the second shot to get teachers back into the classroom. We're saving 3 to 4 weeks by doing the one-dose vaccine, and it's really making a difference. We hope to have all of this done by the end of the month for the early childhood and elementary school teachers. And we're actually 2 weeks ahead of that goal, because by the end of the month, that's not this next Wednesday, but Wednesday, a week from next Wednesday, we will have been able to vaccinate every teacher through high school, from early childhood, pre-K, elementary school, middle school, and high school. That's 2 weeks ahead of schedule with the Johnson & Johnson. And that, this is time is of the essence. We're getting our kids back to school faster than we even expected. Many intermediate units have already completed vaccinations for teachers and staff who work with the youngest and most vulnerable, and we've been able to begin vaccinations for teachers and staff who work with middle grade and high school students. You're going to be finished by Saturday evening here, aren't you?
We're getting close.
Getting close. That's really amazing. In part, that's because our state-level efforts have worked hand in hand with efforts by President Biden and his administration to devote more federal resources to vaccinations for school staff. Some Pennsylvania teachers were vaccinated at federally run vaccination sites, and those are programs that are run directly out of Washington. And that's allowed our intermediate units to vaccinate more teachers working with older students than we really initially expected. That's where the pickup has come. We weren't aware of how many were actually being vaccinated through that federal program directly. And that's good news for making all of our schools and communities safer, faster for teachers. It's great for students, and obviously the families and communities. And there's more good news for teachers who have yet to be vaccinated. We were able to order an additional 13,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine this week. They had promised we would get none. They promised we would get none next week, and now I'm learning that we're going to get another 13,000. And then it really goes up to back into the 100,000 range, I think, in the week after that. So Johnson & Johnson went through this law, which we knew, but it wasn't as big a law as we thought it was going to be. So that means we're going to be able to vaccinate another 26,000 teachers and school staff members before Pennsylvania receives the next large allocation of Johnson & Johnson on the 28th of March. So based on the information our intermediate units have provided, we expect that we will have offered the vaccine to every teacher, every school staff member, and every early childhood educator in the Commonwealth, not just those who are in pre-K through elementary settings, but everybody, all the way up through high school, by the end of the month. That's Wednesday, the 31st of March. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Which means we're going to wrap up the schedule of vaccine administration for schools 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Again, that's going to help students and teachers get back to schools, which we need them to do. Everybody needs them to do that as quickly as we can. It's going to take immense burdens off families, caregivers, and it's going to be keeping our communities a lot safer. This special vaccination initiative is moving incredibly swiftly, and that's thanks to the tremendous work of our intermediate unit staff, the Pennsylvania National Guard, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, and so many more. So I want to thank everybody who has been part of this. I mean, I heard it today, but I've heard it before I got here, that teachers, educators who have gone through this process, not just here, but in Berks County, in Lancaster County, all across the state, have said the same thing. This is really an amazing process. So again, Mark, it comes back to you because you had a lot to do with that throughout the state. I also want to thank Rich and the Pennsylvania State Education Association for their partnership and assistance, and actually their leadership in giving me the idea that this was such a good thing to do. But every stage of the planning, this really has made a difference. But most of all, I think all of us want to thank the teachers and the staff and our early childhood educators. This has been an incredibly challenging year in so many ways for so many of us, but I don't think any one single group has been stressed or stretched more than our educators throughout this process. So I want to thank all of our educators for rising to the challenge every day over this past year. And I want to thank them for stepping up now to be vaccinated so that we can reopen schools more safely. I know the teachers want to get back into the classrooms just as much as their students. Okay, that was actually, someone else wrote that, because when I was a student, I wasn't sure. I wanted to get back in the classroom. I just want to be honest here. Students haven't changed, right?
They want to go back.
They want to go, even they want to, that's amazing. That's great. So we are all going to work together for that goal. And again, I really appreciate everything that all of you have done. And I'm now honored to turn this over to Rich Askey, the president of the Pennsylvania State Education Association. Rich.
So you probably can't tell with this mask, but I have one of the biggest smiles in the room right now. So good afternoon, everybody, and it is such a privilege to be here. And on behalf of the tens of thousands of school staff members who are right now receiving their COVID-19 vaccinations, I want to say thank you. It's been a year. Thank you, Governor Wolf. Thank you to the members of the COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force for creating the program. Thank you to the intermediates unit for coordinating it. Thank you to the school administrators for getting the word out to their staffs and getting them signed up. Thank you to the National Guard for staffing the vaccination sites. And just thank you to everyone who has been involved in this program. All of those folks working together have made the program the success that it is. From the very beginning of this pandemic and throughout this school year, PSEA members have gone above and beyond to teach and serve their students, wherever they were, whether it was in school or it was at home. Other educators and support professionals throughout all of it have wanted one thing more than anything else: to be with their students, in school, fully in person. The vaccination program will go a long way to making that happen. It will ensure a safer environment for in-person instruction, protecting the health of the educators, support professionals, students, and their families. It will help us to get closer to normal, and it will also get our economy back on track. Everyone here today recognizes that school staff members are essential to achieving all those goals. And by making the vaccine available to those dedicated professionals, we can and we will achieve them. Again, thank you all for making this happen. Now let's get back to school. So next, I'm going to turn the podium over to a school administrator who worked very hard to help make this program work, Dr. Chuck Glantz from New Hope Solebury School District.
Thank you very much, Mr. Askey. Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here this afternoon representing my fellow superintendents and directors from across Bucks County. I am incredibly fortunate to be a part of such a collaborative and dynamic team of educators in our county. A little over a year ago, when we shuttered our schools for the first time as a result of the pandemic, we thought that we would be returning our students to school in a week or two when the situation with the virus abated. We could never have imagined that a year later we would still be confronting its many challenges. During this past year, our county educational leaders have worked in tandem with our community partners to tackle these problems collaboratively. And we have sustained educational environments considering the plethora of unprecedented challenges we faced. Immediately following the announcement of the closure of our schools, our school district and CTC leaders, under the guidance of Dr. Mark Hoffman, united to develop plans and educational frameworks to confront numerous health and safety issues. and to formulate supports and services for our families most adversely affected by the economic impacts of the pandemic. The obstacles we faced were many, but together we were able to share resources, overcome these challenges, and strategize a county response by working together. Throughout this process, we have been grateful to have the Bucks County Department of Health and the Bucks County Emergency Management Agency to provide ongoing guidance as we planned our pandemic response. We also deeply appreciate the strong support we have received from our state and county leaders and local health organizations. Through their efforts, we have had access to the most current research and information on the pandemic, which guided our most critical decision-making. As we began the arduous process of reopening our schools in the fall and winter, we were able to capitalize on this foundation and welcome students back while prioritizing the safety of all of our stakeholders. The decisions made through this process have not been easy, but we have been positioned to make them in an informed way thanks to the many resources that have been shared with us. Our educators are deeply committed to the service of their students and their families. Throughout the reopening of schools in our county, many have struggled with anxiety and concerns for their health and well-being, that of their families, and most importantly, that of their students, while recognizing that they have critical supports and services that they provide. When the promise of a vaccine became a reality in the late fall, our educators hoped that they would be prioritized for the vaccine alongside other essential workers in our community. Our county team under Dr. Hoffman's leadership came together in conjunction with our local partners to provide proposals for how we would be able to ensure faculty and staff were prioritized for the vaccines and protect it to the maximum extent possible. The BCIU took the lead in developing a model which could be replicated throughout the state for vaccinating our educators. And we were deeply thankful when you, Governor Wolf, made the bold decision several weeks ago to prioritize our state educators for the vaccine. This was a game changer for our education community and ensured our faculty and staff were provided an additional level of safety and that they felt valued for the work they are doing to realize our national goal of returning our students to school. Numerous members of my team in the New Hope-Silbury School District, as well as members of our local community, have personally reached out to extend their appreciation for the efforts taken to develop this vaccination process, which I now extend to you. By providing vaccines to our educators, you have helped to alleviate many of the concerns they have had and allowed them to breathe a collective sigh of relief. You have also afforded them an opportunity to see a light at the end of this very long tunnel. Thank you so much for your efforts and for making such a monumental difference in the lives of the educators of Bucks County. Your decision will have a deep and lasting impact on our work and will help to support our efforts to continue to reopen our schools. On behalf of my colleagues and fellow educators, I thank you very much for all of your hard work and efforts to realize this ambitious goal. It is now my pleasure to introduce Bucks County Senator Steve Sanacero.
Thank you, Dr. Lentz. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by recognizing two of my colleagues in the General Assembly who are here with me today. My friend and colleague from the 12th District, Maria Collette, a senator from the 12th, and my successor in the State House in the 31st District, the Yardley Newtown area of Bucks County, Perry Warren. The three of us, as well as our other colleagues in the Democratic caucuses, have been working hard to support education throughout Pennsylvania for some time now, and specifically now on this issue of reopening our schools and getting our kids back into classrooms, but doing it in a safe way that protects everybody, our teachers, our staff, and of course, the kids. I want to thank you, Governor, for taking the leadership on of making this a priority. And many of us were hopeful that this step would be taken, but as you said, you went ahead and did that even before the Biden administration said that it was something that should be done. And now we're on the cusp of getting all of our teachers and staff vaccinated. And I want to thank the leadership, obviously Rich Askey and statewide, but here in Bucks County, Dr. Lentz, Dr. Hoffman, thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done in leading us. I'm very proud that the IU is here in my district, the 10th district of Pennsylvania. It's a tremendous resource for us, and this is just one more example of that. You know, I had the privilege about 3 weeks ago on a Friday morning of being a guest in the class of Ms. DeFazio at the Pennsbury High School, and I see my friend Bill Gritzula, the superintendent of Pennsbury, over on the side of the room. And it was wonderful. It was an ethics class, so she thought it was a good idea to have a state senator come in. And we talked about ethics in politics and in government, and it was a great discussion, and she had about, I don't know, about 12 or 13 kids on the Zoom. And it was clear that she had done so much legwork ahead of time to make the discussion flow and to really get the kids interactive, despite the fact that it was all virtual and we had this barrier between us. I point that out because it's an example of just what our teachers have been doing over the course of the last year. And as a former teacher here in Bucks County, I can tell you, it's hard enough when you're in person and you're in a room like this with anywhere between 20 and maybe 30 kids, and you're trying to get through to every one of them so that they can make that progress that they need to make in their educational careers. But when you're trying to do that online, virtually, through Zoom or some other platform, it becomes that much harder. So we really ought to thank our teachers across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who have done such yeoman's work despite these challenges in helping our kids move forward despite the pandemic. But now we're doing the next thing that they need, which is making sure that they can get back into the classrooms in a safe and healthy environment and go back to doing what they love so much. And I can tell you again, as a former teacher and as the son of a teacher, that teachers love nothing better than being with the kids on a daily basis and getting them to see and realize everything that they can be and everything they can learn. So what we're celebrating here today is critically important for our state, and it's critically important for that next generation. So again, Governor, thank you. Thank you all for what you've done, and thank you to our teachers and our staff throughout our schools, because they are what makes education possible here in Pennsylvania. Thank you very much.